You know, there's so many college students now without jobs. Whatever happened to the trade industry? Stay tuned in. This is WDRB Media. Hello, just want to welcome everybody to the show. It's called Chat with Experiences. I have Nate Kinard with me. I know him personally, but here's the funny thing. I haven't talked to him in about 20 years. I graduated from a little town high school called Southwest Onslow. Give a shout out to Southwest. If you're a former stallion, once a stallion, always a stallion. But I haven't seen Nate in like 20 years. I graduated in 2003, and I seen a post that he had on Facebook, and it really touched me, and I had to hit him up for sure. And I'm gonna just share with y'all right now that post. If you look at this post right here, Nate posted this August 3rd. It says, being in the service industry, I advise all homeowners, learn how to do stuff in your own home. Prices are about to be like never before in service. Get that new HVAC now. Prices ain't going back down. When I saw that, I had to hit Nate up because guess what? I'm in the trade industry as well. It's no secret. My dad was a licensed plumber and I learned plumbing from him. I also have 2 college degrees. I cut my college costs by 40% and I'm debt free now. But guess what? I found more success from a set of skills that I learned for free. And what are we going to be talking about today? The trade industry. I'd like to welcome former classmate Nate Kinard to the show.
Well. Mr. Charles Chadwick, good to be here, man. Good to be here. I'm excited, man. This is a conversation that we definitely need to have, most definitely, man. So thank you for having me.
Man, and again, a lot of people, you might not keep those connections from high school, but hey, that's the power of technology. Facebook, I happen to see his post, ain't spoke to this dude in like 20 years.
That's legit.
In high school, Nate could jump out the gym. He could dunk and everything, man. So Nate was always a good people, but I'm really happy to catch up with him and also learn too that he is surviving this economy by being in the trade industry. So Nate, tell us what you do.
Well, currently I am a HVAC mechanic on Parris Island Depot. It's a Marine Corps base down in Parris Island, South Carolina. I've been there for the last 3 years now, formerly coming from Charlotte, North Carolina, where I was there for a couple of years. Moved there once I decided to get the old ball and chain, as they say. I got engaged with my wife and I moved to Charlotte from Jacksonville. But right now that's what I do, HVAC mechanic, for Parris Island. And on my free time, I actually have my own business, Kinard Appliance Repair. What led me to get my own business is before, if anybody ever worked for the government, that is a extremely long process to be able to get in there, because you got to get your security clearance and make sure you ain't with Al-Qaeda or ISIS. They got to do all their research. Yeah. So it took me, even when I got hired, it still took me a long time to, have my first day of working there. So I was working with an HVAC company down here in Georgia, and, they were, I was not happy being with that company. And what I mean by that was, because of, it was like the blessing and the curse saying, because of my knowledge that I knew, extensive knowledge that I knew, to where I had to work harder than others. So what that means is if I have 10 jobs on my schedule for the day, at the end of the day, I'm getting calls saying, oh, I got to go behind this person, that person, because they can figure it out. And so there would be times where I'd be coming home 9, 10 o'clock at night, with my daughter and my wife sleeping. And I was like, man, I can't do this forever, So I got accepted for working on the military, but I didn't want to work there anymore. So I was looking at other jobs and I was like, with my credentials, I know I can get a job. I can quit today and have a job today. I knew that, no problem.
And that's one thing that the trade industry allows a person to do. Once you get the skill, as LeBron James said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. If you know a trade, you can start your own business or walk away from that another company and switch over.
Exactly.
And when you know what you know, you can charge what you want to charge.
Very good. We're going to come back to that statement too, because that's a very powerful thing right there. So,
oh yeah. So tell us, before we get into all this, tell us from high school, what was the high school experience before the HVAC? As we all know, it is pressure sometimes. As I think back, you know, you're 18, your parents can say, what you gonna do? And that's what they ask you up until graduation, about 2 weeks before you graduate high school. What you gonna do? Are you gonna join the military? You gonna go to college? What you gonna do? Tell me about your process, and then I'll tell you about my process transitioning to the real world from high school.
Yeah, so high school was definitely a learning experience. And what I mean by that, you know, we graduated from Southwest, but if you did not know, I was living in Jacksonville High District area. So I was supposed to be going to Jacksonville High School, right? So 16, 17, you know how we are. We think we grown. We think we know it all. Our parents don't know nothing, right? So me and my mom, this was the time, and me and my mother, we can look back and just laugh. But at that time, we weren't seeing eye to eye to anything, you know what I'm saying? So what ended up happening, you know, I got into church, and this is so crazy. I had, quote unquote, quit school because I stopped going when I was going to Jacksonville High. And you know, at the end of the semester, you're supposed to take test EOD, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or EOC. If you don't pass that, you ain't, you know, you failed no matter what, right? I didn't even go to that completely. And I was telling my mom I was suspended, blah, 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 all this lying and everything. So how I got to Southwest was, there was a lady from my church, when she found out, when I told her what I did, she didn't want me to do that. So we worked up something to where I will go to her house, and she would take me to a Southwest bus stop, right? So if you remember your way around Jacksonville, I was living in New River. I would go to her house down Wilson Bay, and along with getting her kids ready for school, and she had about 4 of them, she would take her car and take me all the way down to Georgetown.
Nice. I remember Georgetown.
Yeah, take me to Georgetown so I can go to the bus stop, and then I just find my way back home and everything like that. That was my whole senior year at Southwest. We did that, and I'll never forget that. So it was very rocky, you know, let alone college. That's why I said it was like college was definitely off the table. I was just ready to be done with school completely. My direction, you know, I had bad study habits. Okay. I wasn't consistent at anything except for sports. That's what I knew, you know.
That's pretty much the story of many. Growing up, sports was the motivation to stay in school.
And of course, I'm a teenager boy, so I'm chasing girls. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, that was, you know, that's really all I did in high school. You know, I really didn't have direction. And just like you said, the direction that was being pointed to me was go to the military. Because at that time, my brother, he was already in a couple of years, you know, in the military, and wanted me to go to the Air Force. And Air Force was on the table for a while. But when 9/11 happened, I was like, I don't know, because this is 2003. We're fireplace.
Yeah, we was on the,
you know,
people.
People remember. Some people probably ain't gonna remember, but I never forget it because Ticker was down there every time somebody died. They had hundreds of people down there, and it was always lower ranked people. You know, private first class. You know, the lower. You know, the first to the fight people, really, you know. So I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go to the military.
Okay, so I'm rocking with you as far as the transitioning from high school to the HVAC industry. Military, out the door. College was out the door. Let me ask you this, and one thing that I want to do on this podcast show is put an emphasis on what we were told in high school. Do you have any recollect of what teachers were saying? I know at Southwest, of course, the military recruiters was always there, and the teachers pushed college. But honestly, I'm keeping it G and 100 right now. I didn't never hear a college say learn a trade. Never.
Oh yeah, because and here's another thing. When I was going to Southwest, that was the last year they had certain electives. I guess they were cutting funding or whatever the case may be. And the only reason I remember, I'll never forget it, because I was in carpentry 1 and 2, right? And I believe the teacher's name was Mr. Tucker or something like that. So,
oh yeah, I remember him. He was the assistant basketball team with Foster.
Yeah. So, he definitely was upset, rightfully so, because he was losing, a job and everything like that. And, towards the end of the year, once we got done with, because it was so funny, because in carpentry 2, our project for the whole year was to make a shed, right? According to specs. We had all year long to do it. And I never forget when everybody was finishing up and he was talking to everybody about it. And he was like, man, he talked about, construction and things of that nature. Said the only real bad thing about it is when it rains, you don't work, So what are you going to do if it rains for a whole week and you're not on a job site? That's a whole week's worth of work that you're not working. Of course, that's putting the fear of God in me, because I never thought about it like that. Because I was going to,
me neither.
I was going to think about getting into construction, build houses and things of that nature. Like, they always working, but I never looked at the side of what you're going to do when you ain't working. So that just went out the door. But in college, really, he submitted the college thing to me really because he has said that, one of his friends had got a bachelor's degree. Now, back in 2003, you got a bachelor's degree, you was top dog,
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle. Yeah. Master's degree, it wasn't what people say about master's degrees now is what people were saying about bachelor's back then, right? So you get the bachelor's, you definitely gonna make the money, right? He was saying how this guy got his bachelor's degree, went to school all these years, and all he doing is working at the kettle house. The kettle house is like a Waffle House.
Yeah, back home,
And I was sitting there thinking, like, man, you're going to school all that year just to be a manager. You think you're going to be making, $80,000-$90,000, and you probably at best was making maybe 40. And then you got them student loans on top of, living expenses and stuff like that. So I was just like, yeah, school definitely, just didn't seem worth it. But I will say, looking back on it, I really didn't have any examples around me who were successful going to college and, looked at something too as being impressionable to, oh, I want to be like this person, or I want to be like them, because I like the life that they're living, So that when I look back, it wasn't really no real good examples of the benefit of going to college.
Now let me ask you this, Nate. Was there any example of somebody successful in the trade industry? As I look back over my life, again, it's no secret, my dad was a licensed plumber. And at the time, I really didn't understand it. If I would have had more financial knowledge and see, hey, you could plumb a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2-car garage, and make, $4,000 or $5,000. And that's including material. I think earlier on, I would have got more involved in a trade. It's just interesting to me as I think back over my life too. Like, nobody wasn't talking about the trade, and the way it was presented was you work smarter, not harder. And I've always thought construction was hard. Some days it is, but honestly, I get more fulfillment out of fixing something for a customer versus if I was sitting at an office all day long. So now that we're talking about it, that's the whole point of this podcast. I just want people to know that, hey, success is whatever pathway you find it. It doesn't have to just be college. You can get in on the trade industry as well. So, so now we know that in high school, some places don't. And one thing I want to ask you too, man, is North Carolina doesn't have a union, but the more I've worked overseas and met people from New York, New Jersey, what's your take on it? You're in HVAC, you stayed in Charlotte a little bit. Do you think if we had more a union at all in North Carolina, would that make a difference as far as the training aspect and advertising? Or do you think the South is the South? Because all I was taught to do was work hard. So whether a union or not, I still was going to learn plumbing through my dad.
Well, to be honest, I'm in the union.
Okay,
right now. And I've actually seen some instances where it's
Pros
just from
and
my
cons.
personal experience. It's just from my personal experience. They can only go do so much. I don't know if it's because I'm in the military or not. I can't really say if it was more unionized, there would be more change, because when you talk about going HVAC and plumbing things, those are more like private sector type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I don't know if that would be the solution. The thing I would say is it, especially because everybody's not starting off like us. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You were born into it, with your family.
Born
Everybody
into
don't have somebody that's in the family that does it. Even with HVAC, I knew HVAC was something to look at, but I didn't know how to get into it. My whole idea was, I would have to find somebody to teach me. I don't know nobody to teach me. And just being honest, with the color of my skin, people, if I can't find somebody like me, they're not going to be real, apt to teach me something like that. Because again, it's just like when I was learning to be a musician, I couldn't find nobody to teach me, right? And this is in church, and you would think people want to help somebody, but when I started getting older and realizing people were intimidated by somebody learning something, because now you're going to take away work from me. And so that's how I looked at it, dealing with trades and things of that nature, but that was back in the day. But it's a whole new day now.
Yes.
It's a whole new day now, because these companies looking for me.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, we have a lot of people going to college and they're getting in my philosophy is, and this is my quote, some people go to college and they get a lifetime worth of debt and bills. But if they would quit overlooking the trade industry, then they can have a chance to learn a lifetime earning skill. So for me to learn plumbing, it didn't cost me a dime. All it cost me was some Saturday mornings where when I was little, I didn't get to watch cartoons because my dad said, boy, hey, you coming with me on these plumbing jobs. Wow. So in your case, did you get any debt learning HVAC?
No, my process was the most unique process. And the reason why I say that, because going back again, I had got engaged with my wife and I moved to Charlotte. Now, I don't think I mentioned, I was in pest control. I was doing pest control for Orkin, right? Okay. And we actually had a contract on Camp Lejeune. So I was doing that for 2 years. I'm making it, pest control is also a unique industry also. I was making really good money for the area and everything like that. And, that type of thing. So I always tease my wife, about it, because I was like, I think that's probably the reason why she chose me, because I was minding and dining there, because I had the money. Nice. But we had, when I moved to Charlotte, I was like, I'm in a bigger city, so let me see what type of other opportunities are out there. And I always give credit to this company. There was a company in Charlotte. It's called Morris Jenkins. All right. It's an HVAC company. And with their ad that came up, they were looking for apprentices. So that's, they got my gears turning. So I started looking at information. So their process of looking for people, they don't do, it was very unconventional. I only say unconventional because it wasn't nothing I was used to or anything I ever heard. So you had to, I'll never forget, because I applied for them in July and they had a class starting in August. So they never replied to me. I never heard anything from them. So I kind of forgot about it. And then the following year in February, they sent me an email saying, hey, we want you to come out to this open house. So I was like, okay, well, look at God, So I go to the open house. I kid you not. I thought I was going for American Idol or something. It was hundreds of people out there. Now, mind you, I don't know who this company is. I just see advertising. They're looking for people, to go into HVAC. And what drew me to them, because they said they were willing to teach you and get paid.
Oh, wow. What? Now I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
This is what I love about the trade industry. You said you're gonna get paid to learn.
Yep.
In the trades, it's no secret. On your first day, you will get paid with no skills whatsoever. So when people say, well, I went to college and hey, if you're struggling to make them student loan payments right now, jump in a trade. Even if you're lazy, go work a trade for 30 days. You're going to get paid on the first day with no skills whatsoever. So with the trade industry, that's how I look at it. People go to college for 4 years, and unless they choose to work, I worked when I was in college, you ain't making no money. But if you want to learn a trade, they are going to provide you some real financial aid. So trade is financial aid. On that first day, you're going to get paid. Or if you're in training and you don't know jack diddly squat, you're going to get paid on the first day. I wanted to put that in there.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's definitely, you know, possible. So so with that, when I went there, it was hundreds of people, and you know, I'm already second guessing myself because there were people there that looked like they did HVAC. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I was looking at it like, you know, they look the part, you know, they're going to get hired, things of that nature. So I was seeing people come in and see people walk out, come in and walk out and everything. So when I first got into the building, it was like a speed date. It was like 10 people there. You know, now that I know they were supervisors and, you know, people who were in leadership positions. What they were doing was they spend 5 to 10 minutes talking to somebody. They ain't say nothing about no HVAC. They ain't ask me about no job history, anything like that. They just had a conversation. Now with me, I'm a type of person, if I get in front of you, I can sell myself. You know what I'm saying?
Same here.
I had the soft skills, and I always contribute, you know, being in church, because it's like church got me out of my shell, you know, because it's like, you know, when you go up there, you got to go to the front and do the prayer. You know, you got to go up there and do the scriptures and things like that. And I was a musician too. So I was already being put in leadership position, because that's why I always look at, you know, how God is, you know, he's the ultimate architect, because there were things that were set in place. And I'm talking about for me, that set me in place, that got me ready to get into those positions, you know. So when the opportunity came, I seized on that opportunity. And, you know, making a long story short, I was able to sell myself. And then instead of walking out, I went to the back area where there was a sitting there, and it felt like it was it was a big old long table. You know, everybody in there, we had to go to the big boss, you know, go through the interview. And what they did, they want to see where your general mechanical skills are. You know, if you got a pretty good concept of things. And I was just telling this story to one of my other friends about how, you know, this is how clueless I was, you know, on electricity and things of that nature. They were asking me, it was like, hey, you know, when you go change out a light switch, what's the first thing you should do? And I was like, get your tools. And they was like, no, turn off the power.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I never know about that. You know, I look at an electrical box, it's like, you don't go to that. You know, you don't want to get electrocuted. You know, you know, that's how clueless I was in that industry. But that didn't dismay me from going, you know, from going into opportunity. So they hired me, and it was a 3-month training, 3 months, every day class. And then maybe like Thursday, Friday, well, they had a facility with a bunch of HVAC units, so we can put our hands on it, you know. So it wasn't just a bunch of book work, you know. We got our hands in there and start doing stuff, looking at, you know, motors and compressors, you know, checking refrigerant safety devices and things of that nature, you know. And so towards the end, and this is one thing I really loved about them, was they was not going to let me see one customer until I passed the test. The final test was everything was torn apart on an AC unit, from the air handler down to the condenser. I had to put everything together. We're talking like all the wirings, because you got to learn how to read the schematic, you know. Read the schematic, knowing what pressure switches are on the schematic, where's, you know, what's going to happen when it's low pressure or high pressure. You know, I'm getting a little technical about it, but that just lets you know, they really have you know the technical jargon, you know, so you can be able to understand exactly what's going on, you know.
Okay. So really, they gave you the game for free, per se. I'm gonna speak a little slang. They gave you the game for free. So basically, you know, they showed you how the air conditioning works. They gave you theories. They showed you how to change out the components. And just hearing you say that, and we're comparing trades to college in one light and sense. You didn't have to spend 4 years in a classroom to learn that.
Nah, it was a couple of weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks, and I'm out there. Yeah,
exactly.
And what's so crazy too is, and this is how thorough they are, because after I learned it, I could have went anywhere else, but for legal reasons, they did it because they invest in you. I'm talking like ain't no cheap stuff, Harbor Freight stuff. They had a tool account for you, right? I think it was like $2,000 worth of tools. So they invest in you.
Wow.
And I didn't realize it at the time. You're going to make a return on that investment.
Yeah.
And being there, that's what I started to understand the business side, of things. Because I would make, $1,200 in a day, but I done brought in $15,000 for them for the day by myself, and so they had you sign a contract to where you stay there like 18, 20 months or something like that, to ensure that you get your money back. And if you did the bare minimum, I mean, just go there, no extra stuff. You just go service the unit and then go home, because there are people like that. They were going to ensure they're going to get a return on their investment and make money, that type of thing. So that's the whole business side. But leaving the class, you're certified, you're going to be ready to go. You can actually, if you were business savvy, you could start on your own, honestly, because that's the one thing I love about trades also too, is there's not, the biggest requirement is experience. Honestly.
And I love what you say, man. And that's why the name of this podcast is Chadwick Experiences. And, experience is priceless. And I love your story, Nate, because it's the truth. In one of my books here, Chadwick's Cultivated Circumstances, Experience is Priceless. It was just featured in Reader's Digest. That's what I'm trying to, that's what I'm trying to get people to see. Yeah. Experience is priceless. Now, if you want to go get a license or a certification, sometimes that costs money. And as I keep looking back at college, people, even me, I got 2 college degrees. You pay for that so-called experience, but in the trade industry, the experience can be free. There are trade schools and everything, but your story, they sponsor you per se. That was like a scholarship. If we compare it to college, they provided you the training, gave you a $2,000 tool account credit, and the trade has brought you the financial aid in itself. So yes, experience is priceless. I want people to get in the mindset to think you can go learn a trade for free. You don't have to have no skills. And on that first day of training, or the first day outside of the classroom, on the job training, the time clock starts now. You're getting money. Even if you don't even know what you're doing, you're going to get money in the trades.
Oh yeah, totally agree. Most definitely. One thing I always tease about with the college thing, because you can go to school all those years, I don't care if it's 5, 10 years and things of that nature, and you can still have trouble getting into the workforce, because guess what? You have no work experience.
Yep. Yeah. Now, and man, I was reading something online the other day, and that's the thing. They're saying, you were successful, but on an academic level. But in the real world, as far as work experience, you could be not succeeding. So it's easy, graduated cum laude and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, that's only on an academic level. And if I could describe it, it's just like when I played basketball, a person could be doing his thing on practice, whether it's football, basketball, they could be killing practices, dunking, everything. But on game day, which if we look at life now, is college like a practice? And then when you graduate and you start applying for them jobs, that's game day. That's the real life.
The lights is on, the crowd is going.
So a person could be
at the free throw line.
So a person could have thought they were shining, which they were, but that was only on an academic level, grades. And even now, I'm here to tell you, I was a D student while I was at Southwest High School, but it was because I didn't apply myself. And one key thing I want to throw out here now, I follow Robert Kiyosaki, One of the interesting books that I've read is called A Students Work for C Students. And if you look at majority of people who own businesses, they weren't that good at all. But the workers were all the A's and B students because they can get information and do the same thing. It doesn't take creativity. So even with the college, the curriculum is already laid out. So people, you can be successful, but that's on the academic level. After you graduate and you come to the real world, that's where you're going to really see if you know what you was learning and apply it. So that's why I kind of like the trade industry as well. And I'm not speaking down on college or trades, but I want to be open about these discussion. It's needed to be talked about. A person can make straight A's, and guess what? You go work for a multi-million-dollar company, the CEO was a C student.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, the more you get into it, and then especially, you know, one of my favorite people, I love his story, you know, even though he's still fortunate, was Elon Musk, you know. And just when I first learned about, well, you know, as a child, he was introduced to entrepreneurship very early in life, just because, you know, who his father was. You know, his father was like a emerald dealer or maker or something like that. So he was already in money, that type of thing. But he actually was programming video games like at 11, 12, and he sold them, right? So I think it was like the early 90s or something like that, if I remember correctly. And it was like, you know, for like a couple $100, like $500, something like that he sold it for. So you think about early 90s, $500, that was a lot of money, especially if you're a kid and things of that nature. So you think about that aspect where you're introduced like that at an early age. And then, you know, he was actually one of the creators of PayPal, you know?
Yep.
So
facts.
So we're talking about online banking in the late 90s. Now, I'll never forget when water bottles first came into the scene. There was so much pushback, you know, who gonna buy a water bottle? You got water at the faucet, you know? And look what we doing. You ain't touching that. You ain't touching that faucet.
Exactly, genius.
So it's the same thing with the online banking. Nobody gonna put their money, you know, where they can't see it, whatever their sentiment was. And now look what we're doing now. You know, so to have vision like that at such an early age, and you see where he's at right now, you know, Elon Musk ain't over there, you know, making those electric cars. He's paying those A+ students in college, you know what I'm saying, to make those vehicles, you know what I'm saying? Because he had the resources. You know, once he sold PayPal, he used that money to invest in, you know, with Tesla, and now it is what it is now. You know, who knew electric cars was going to be a thing? You know, at one point in time in life, it was like impossible.
Yep. And that brings me to my next point.
Yeah.
Who knew that the trade industry is about to explode again? Because when you look at it, when you look at America, a lot of the infrastructure, even just our roadway system, it was all because of the trades. But now that maybe we've seen, and again, we graduated from high school in 2003, it's about to be 20 years where we were like bus loaded into colleges, but ain't nobody was, I don't want to say nobody, but it's facts. A lot of young people are more so prone to go to college sometimes than trade. And now what we see, and I don't know if you see it, my dad's 70 years old. He's about to retire. He can only go for so much longer.
Yeah.
The baby boomer generation is going to be fading out here. And there is going to be a huge vacancy for the trade industry for young people.
There you go.
Nate,
there you go.
I thought about it today. This is my prediction. If a young person now just graduate high school, 18, if they go into the trade industry, I would say by 30, they could retire because they'll be able to learn what they need to learn. 18, by 24, 25, go in business for themselves, have other people working for them. I can put some money on it. By age 30, some people will be able to retire because there's going to be so much demand for such a shortage of a job.
Mm-hmm.
And young people got to see that too. So when you're talking about financial knowledge, this is a business move. If 80% of people is going to college and only 20% left, if those 20% go into trades, guess what the flip side is? Everybody want to live the American dream and have their house, the 80% that own all these houses, they're going to need to call some trade people to service those houses.
There you go.
So it's
That's
yep.
it.
So it's supply and demand. If this majority is in housing, owning houses with all these degrees, and you only have 20% of the people left, I would say go in the trade industry. And here's the flip side. I can honestly tell you, man, I've never chased passion until now. My life story is backwards. I only did what I had to do first. I'm able to chase my passion because plumbing and the trade industry has financially allowed me to keep gainful employment. There's no gaps in my resume since high school because of construction. So if a young person is thinking from a logical and a business standpoint, if they go in the trade industry now, it might be hard. They might not be able to be on Instagram and partying, but I'm sure there's no guarantees in life, but this is my philosophy. If majority of people are going to college, we all know they're going to be buying houses, or guess what? Renting houses or renting apartments. The majority is going over here. The few that's left over here, if college ain't your thing, go into the trades and then charge all these college people that's going to have the money, and it levels out. I think a young person could retire by 30 if they really get into trades now, with the majority that keep going to college.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. You are absolutely right about the baby boomers. It actually started a while ago, and that's why there is a huge need in the trade industry. And I'm talking about all trades: HVAC, plumbing,
electrical, sheetrock, drywall, all of it.
Exactly, that experience. And while you were talking about it, I believe it's getting like that because people don't have the same experience like you. They don't see it being something desirable, I guess, because of the work. In my mind, I don't know what people think about. I don't know if you ever watched the Martin show, and when the plumber dude had died, I think people, don't want to look like that guy, with the flannel shirt and, a butt crack out, things of that nature. And, I don't know what it is, but
it's a stereotype, man.
Yeah, it is a stereotype with the trade not being so glamorous, quote unquote, whatever the case may be. But people don't realize, it's all just, you said the key thing about supply and demand.
Yeah.
With that 80% that's graduating from the college, and that 20%, think about that. You're going to have people waiting for you to come to you right now. In my appliance repair, Charles, I'm not advertising. Only thing I have my number is on Google search, right? Just so I can get into Google. I have not paid one advertisement, SEO, or whatever the case may be. These people in my area are searching for appliance repair, and I'm just so happy to come up, and I'm getting my calls like that. And I wish I could show you my text message. I'm getting another word. Please come to service my refrigerator. These people are begging because a lot of times people have to wait weeks for a technician to come out. Weeks. When I was working for Sears before, I was going to say I worked for Sears before I went into, got into the military. And the minimum wait time was 2 weeks. Even if you call today, the earliest was 2 weeks. Somebody can come out. So some people have to wait a month. And now how the process is, okay, your refrigerator's down. We're not going to see you in 2 weeks. I come out there 2 weeks. I find out what the problem is. You got a special part that's not on my truck. Now you got to wait for that part to get delivered. That could be a whole 30 days without a refrigerator that you've been without, just to get a technician out there. You know what I'm saying? So, that was one of those things that I was looking at, and I seen it's like, and I thought about that, with the baby boomers. Usually these technicians were, mid 50s going in their 60s and things of that nature. Is like, look, they getting old. They getting old.
Exactly.
And here's another thing. Their children are not following suit. That's the key thing. It's not like it was, when we were kids, where sons were taking out of their father's business and continuing on with the legacy. They ain't doing that no more. These kids don't want to do what their parents were doing. they want to, they're doing other things now, you know. So
Exactly. And I want to touch on something, what you're talking about, the legacy. It's no secret that my dad was the licensed plumber, and I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. My dad business, it used to be called Chadwick and Sons Plumbing, because I had a little brother as well.
okay.
Over the years, I worked with him, but I can honestly say I didn't want to do it because I looked at the time that it required when you're owning these businesses and trades. If you're just a one-man show, I want you just to wonder about that. You can only do so much. But
Yeah.
I know if I could go back and do it a little different, I would have recruited high school students, whether they were male or female, and got them learning and working some trucks. So for me, I really didn't enjoy the way I describe it to people. If let's say Lowe's is an hour away and you go to a job site and you grab everything that you think you could possibly need, but when you get to the house, it always felt like, for me, the one part that I needed, I never could have in stock, and I would have to drive all the way back in town. So at the time, I really didn't like it, but I'm so happy today. Even though I'm not running my dad's business, he gave me the greatest gift I could have ever asked Nate for in my life. And he has gave me a skill that, as long as I'm physically able to get out here and go turn a wrench, it can never leave me. And that was priceless. So I do want to give a shout out to my dad right now for teaching me plumbing. And another side of it is, when I owned my own house, I did all my work and I was able to save money. A lot of people, and again, as we go back to this, millennials, they're going to be homeowners, or if they're the new generation, that's going to be renters. Somebody has got to maintain the existing houses, apartments, and structures. And this is where, even though I'm not traditionally, as you saying, running my dad's business, if I ever needed to, I always have a job. As long as I'm alive and healthy, you always have a job with trade, even if it's just hustling with your family members. Your family members know what it costs. I laugh sometimes when I come home. A lot of family members say, "Hey, Charles, can you come over here and do this?" Because they know if they call the real, person that's there full time, you're saving 50, 75% sometimes.
Right now, my sister's waiting on me to help her put a new HVAC in it. I was like, because I can get it at cost, not what the company's going to charge you. I can get it at cost. So it's like, all you got to do is get it at cost. Once you get the unit, then I'll go ahead and put it on you. Merry Christmas.
Exactly.
Shout out to your father. I'm so glad that he was able to give that inheritance to you. That's what it's all about. And especially with the Black community, because I rarely see us in this industry, especially being successful without being halfway doing things and things of that nature, or not doing it right at all. That's one thing I want people to understand. When you get into the industry, you don't have to be shy. I'm telling you, if you do things the right way, word of mouth is your best friend. Because trust me, somebody wants to be that person. Like, hey, I got this guy who can do plumbing very good, and he's going to do you right. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's priceless right there. Because that's always going to be, it's going to be like a snowball effect. You're going to tell this person, that person going to tell 3 people, that 3 people going to tell 10 people. You know what I'm saying? And just like you say, you would never go without. There ain't going to be no time period. Like right now with the economic structure with this country is in, there's people who are losing their jobs.
Yep.
They're getting fired. These businesses are making, cuts and things of that nature and laying people off and stuff like that. And we don't have to never worry about that, because even if we were working a company and then they close down, whatever case may, you got the skill sets to go out there and do it yourself.
Exactly. And Nate, that's what led me to write the books during this pandemic and speak about it, because it really affected me, man. Even though I was deemed essential, I start thinking about people who are losing their jobs. You know,
Yeah.
a person could have worked in a certain industry, and that industry is no longer existing. And if you spent 20 years in the industry and you didn't learn any new skills, you didn't push yourself on your days off, you stuck out there. But in the trade industry, I constantly talked to my dad, even where I worked at in construction and security. We were busier than ever. And that's my point. Pandemic or not, gas prices or not, you always gonna need the trade industry, no matter what's going on in this world. And even if a catastrophe happens, guess what? They're gonna be recruiting plumbers and electric. Hey, we gotta reroute the city water. Hey, we need to get some power.
Dude, we had guys that I didn't even know this was a thing, Charles. I don't know if you remember in Houston a couple of years ago when the snow hit them.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Now, Houston ain't built for those temperatures. So pipes were bursting everywhere, right?
Yep.
Here's the kicker. There are no supplies in the area of Houston for pipes. People were coming down from Jersey with supplies and everything like that, staying down there for months. You know, soon as it was that situation where we need this repaired now. We can't get to it, but we're going to get to it when we're done with this job. So they were down there for months. You know what I'm saying? And they probably had, I don't know what the system was, but they probably, when they were getting ready to get low, they probably had somebody go back up to Jersey, get more supplies, and then come back down to Houston. And people were going to pay because who's not going to repair their plumbing? We need running water. We need a shower.
Exactly.
We need a toilet. Who's not going to pay that? Charles, I've been in situations where people are flat broke and they done came out of nowhere with $10,000 for a new HVAC because it's hot outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world? You know, this fall apart, that fall apart. We're going to get that HVAC unit running. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the key thing. I love what you're saying. And again, I want the next generation, you know, understand that, be universal. My thing is, let's have a duality mentality for the economy. Even people now, if they got college degrees and they struggling to pay them loans back, jump in the trade industry, get certified. And guess what? If the economy levels back out, go back to your job that requires a degree. And then on the weekends, use your HVAC or plumbing or electrician certification and do your side hustle. The pandemic really woke me up, Nate. And it just showed me one thing. I don't know what else it would take to show people if what you're involved in as far as to make income in your job, is it valuable or invaluable? What I saw is the trade industry is valuable, whether you're doing it to make a living, whether you're doing it and you got a wife and kids and your wife want to remodel the bathroom. If you know how to lay your own tile down, if you know some plumbing, a little bit of electrical work, you can move your own receptacle 2 feet when you put in your new tile or new vanity. Trades pays. That's what I can say. The trade industry pays, and just not on a financial level, but also in your everyday life. Again, a single mother or a person could be living in a raggedy house, just facts. Everybody economical situation is different. But what I would do now, if I know what I know now, I don't have no regrets in life, but with what I know now, if I did grow up in a poverty home, and what I know now, I would go work with a carpenter for about a month and say, hey, I'm only here to learn how to repair floors. I'm going to help you out on other stuff, but my family is such in a rut that I'm going to go learn this, and then I'm going to go back to my own house and fix the floor. I'm tired of putting rugs and snakes. And we're from North Carolina, so I lived in a trailer at one point in time. So, you know, snakes crawl up in them trailers, man. But when you know how to repair and fix stuff, it could save some uncomfortable conditions home. And that's what I really want to put out here to the next generation. Or if you're a college student and you can't afford to pay your loans back, get in the trade industry. And if you like it, guess what? Your degree will kick back in when it's time for those superintendent, when it's time for those supervisors and foreman
leadership positions.
Exactly.
And to give you a recent story about, you know, what trades can do, just recently, you know, my household's a 2-car household. My wife go in one direction, I go in another direction. So her vehicle was malfunctioned, so I had to check engine light and everything like that, right? So it wouldn't basically, once it get to a certain, speed, it'll start to cut off, stall and everything. So it was happening for a while. It wasn't never consistent. So the check engine light wasn't come on. It would just be flashing engine. When your check light is flashing, that's when you need to shut it down. Don't drive it no more because something could be really wrong. Right now, there's other stuff we got going on that we ain't got time for that, right? But we need to get it fixed. But, we got our savings like, okay, we have to dip into it. We'll do that to get up to a certain point. Because if it's like $3,000 or $4,000 repaired, I might just go get a new car. I'm not put, that much money into repairing a car or whatever. That's because it's already 10 years old. So when I took off and when I'm calling around, calling to the mechanic shops, nobody can see me all week. I can't even bring in my car that day, nowhere in the area. And I can't drive it far, right? So everywhere in the area where I seen fit, nobody can see it. The earliest I seen was somebody said it was a Monday I was off. Wednesday, they said, yeah, you can bring it in on Wednesday. We'll take a look at it by Thursday. That's just diagnosing. They ain't fixing the problem. No telling what it's going to be. And I'm sitting there like, okay, they're going to try to get me for everything I got. So I was like, you know what? I can't wait. So with the check engine lights up there, I was able to take it to, I was like, I know it's producing a code. Let's see what the code is. I go over there, go to AutoZone, get them to read it, see what the code is. Go ahead. I'm doing research. Now, mind you, I know nothing about cars. I'm not a mechanic. But I have the intellect of knowing how things work, okay? I have the intellect through HVAC, doing fixing appliances and refrigerators and things of that nature to be able to look, okay, you got a code. What's the code mean? When Google has everything. There ain't no excuse. With Google search, you can break it down, just do your research. That's all it is. I did my research, come to find out one of my cylinders were misfiring. What is it causing misfire? Spark plugs. Spark plug, I went and got the ignition coil, got the spark plugs. I didn't even have my tools because it's on the military base. The military base is about an hour drive. So I was like, I'm not about to drive out there. Let me just go out here and get these $20 hand tools. Don't need the latest and greatest. Just need something to turn it, right? Total $200. Fixed it. Cleared the check engine light. Car running great. Now, do you believe, Mr. Charles Chadwick, I could have gone to a car shop and paid $200 to get it fixed?
You go to the way the pandemic slowed people cash flow. I'm gonna say he gonna have to hit you with about a G, about 1,000 for that job.
There you go. So if I spent $200, we're talking $1,000. That's an $800 difference I'm keeping in my house. So just because I had the tools of the trade and the knowledge to know up here what to do. You see what I'm saying? So don't think just because you're in one set of industry is just going to be one dimensional. It's not one dimensional. You're going to be multi-dimensional because when this is where experience comes in. There were situations where, I may be dealing with HVAC, but there's a lot of electrical work I had to do. You okay? Switching wires and changing out power and things of that nature, reading with my multimeter and things of that nature and stuff like that. I was able to grow into that, and that made me more comfortable, going beyond my horizons to where right now I'm like, ain't nothing I can't fix.
and Nate, that is where I'm so at right now, man. A lot of people, if you're not involved in the trade industry, I don't think, and this is my opinion, and I'm gonna ask you this.
Sure.
The few people that I did working in the trade industry and even working up under my dad and seeing experience, this is my opinion. I think some of the trade industry people are scared to release those secrets and nuggets because they feel that they're going to lose business. I always put customers on game when I was fixing something for them. Say, hey, the next time this happened, do this and this and this. And then if you still can't get it, call me back. But I don't know why some people are afraid to share the knowledge. Life is abundance, man. If you know how to, let's say, if you knew how to fix or give free electricity to the world, I'm pretty sure they would kill you because it's all about money. But I love the fact that, in the trade industry, once you get those inside skills and like what you're saying, like it's priceless, man. You can pass that on to somebody else that's struggling, whether it's a family member, and help them out with the information and the knowledge. So I salute you there, man, for sure.
Yeah,
Do you think in the trade industry, people are afraid that if they show the secrets and the techniques on fixing things, that they ain't gonna make no money? Because here's my thing. On YouTube, you can go up there now and get anything for free. My car window motor not working. My refrigerator ice maker ain't working. People are showing you free, and that's what I want to people to incorporate now. Knowledge is free now. It ain't like our parents or even in our generation, Nate. When we had to do research and project, the internet really, it was just starting to happen when we was in school.
You still had to get that encyclopedia.
Yeah, the Britannia Encyclopedia. But today's generation, I'm thinking, man, there ain't no excuse. You can get the knowledge if you want it.
This is why I say to that, because you got to look at it like that generation. What we're talking about is a dinosaur. All right. So what I mean by that is, you know, let's be real, that they're dying out. All right. So yeah, at one point in time, it could have been that mentality. I wouldn't say currently it is, because like you said, the information is out there.
Yeah.
But guess what, Charles? Guess what? Nobody's looking for it. I believe in the power of convenience. It's more convenient for me to go pay you to do it. You see what I'm saying? Not saying people won't go out there and try. And a lot of times, unfortunately, common sense ain't common. You know, what would be common sense to us is daggone college math to somebody else. Algebra 1, 2, whatever advanced math there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I do the same. I will give the information. And a lot of times you said something that's key. There are some things you can let somebody know so you ain't making a trip and wasting your time. You see what I'm saying? So like, for instance, a lot of times with refrigerators, some free advice. If you find your refrigerator is not cooling, before you call a technician, pull out your refrigerator, get your vacuum cleaner and clean those coils, because it's not transferring heat. Boom. Instead of paying somebody $85, $100 to come out and diagnose it. And then here's the kicker about that. They'll come out and diagnose it. There, you got a heating problem, but you know, I can fix it for additional 150. You know, and then once you make the transaction, all he did is get vacuum and vacuum it.
And this is why,
like, I could have did that. But it's not about what you can do. Just like we said earlier, you get paid for what you know, not for what you do. When I heard that statement, man, it changed my life. It felt like I done got the gospel of trading. Tradesman. You know, and you don't get paid for what the job you do, because that could, you know, for somebody else who's not knowledgeable, they could have been here for a whole hour to figure that out. Versus somebody who has the experience, I know, okay, you let me what the problem is, you know, and this is one thing where I got to, I can, you know, with, let's say with an HVAC unit, I go to a call, you know, somebody tells me what's been going on. Okay, that's going to direct me where I need to go. Yeah, I've been hearing a weird noise with my unit. Okay, where are you hearing the noise at? It's right by my bedroom window. Now I'm saying the HVAC unit going to be out there. Let's go out to the outside unit. I turn it on. I hear the noise. Generally, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna know what the noise is. You know what I'm saying? That comes from experience. You know what I'm saying? So with that situation, I can fix that in 20 minutes and still charge you what I'm going to charge you because of the experience. You know, because you're gonna have them people like, man, that's how you did. You know, it only took you 15 minutes, and and you know,
and I'll tell you what, Nate, for me, man, when I first started working out with my dad, it was frustrating because I didn't have the experience. So there was times I would be stuck on a problem for like an hour. My dad come there, do what he do. I said, man, but done. So for anybody that you may get frustrated working the trade first, I'm telling you, the longer you stay in the trade, the easier you're going to keep learning the secrets, and you're going to make your money faster. Don't give up on the trades. When you get the experience, like Nate is saying, he can go to a certain customer's house and he might know the brand of that HVAC unit and say, hey, I replaced 10 of these. There's a recall on this part, and it comes so easier. So the longer you, now here's my thing. The longer you stay in trades, in my opinion, the more money you make, because you're seeing the same products, you're seeing the same problems, you know. But if a person wanted to spend a lifetime in college, it's going to cost you some money. It's gonna, unless you're a millionaire, unless you're getting scholarships. So that's what I want people to see. Some people go to college and you're walking away with a lifetime worth of debt and bills. If you quit overlooking the trade industry, You can stay for 4 years, walk away, and you still have a lifetime earning skill. That's my point about this
So even with
trade
that,
space.
I'm gonna tell you what somebody had told me when I was learning about HVAC. They said give HVAC 2 summers and 2 winters.
Wow,
2
I like
summers
that.
and 2 winters. And the reason being because that first summer, you know, this is what we call low-hanging fruits. All right. When you live in the South, you get hot.
Oh
And
yeah,
when
it
that
does.
heat go out, they want it fixed yesterday.
Now.
Because 9 times out of 10, they done slept in a house without no AC, right? So typically you're going to get more chances of diagnosing unique situations, right, for the first time during your first summer. And then when summer's over, guess what's coming? Wintertime. We're talking about heat now. Now you're dealing with heat pumps and gas furnaces. There's going to be new things. Yeah, you're going to get your book smart, you know, how things work and everything, but diagnosis is a whole nother thing, you know? So now you got your first summer, you got your first winter, right? You done got stories, you done made some mistakes, you done did some things that you missed, you know, you was tired at 6 o'clock and you missed something, okay? You got plenty of stories. Now here comes that second summer. You know what to expect, all right? Same thing with that second winter. You know, you already been through the winter time. You know what to expect. And just like how you said, you're going to start seeing more stuff that you dealt with last season. So now you got the experience. Now you may have made a certain amount of money and you spent a little bit more time in that first summer, that first winter. Now this time you're making more money because you're spending less time diagnosed. I done seen this before and everything like that. And you're feeling more comfortable, you know, doing those sort of things, and you're not having those long days like you had before because of the experience. And now that you got your second season, you know, your second summer, your second winter, man, it can go anywhere you want to take it then because you got the experience now. So that's my advice with that.
Exactly, man. And it's just amazing thing, man, to talk and see somebody. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out here. I saw an article the other day. It said African Americans who took out student loans were overcharged. My thing is, if you're African American, get into the trade industry, and you know what? Go for these government contracts. You know why? You're a minority, and they have grants and stuff, and you get priority if you're a minority to bid on these government contracts. And also in the women, I want to ask you this, Nate. Sure. I'm not being sexist, but I do want to bring this awareness. I just researched. Women in the United States make up over 57% of the workforce. So half of the workforce in the United States are all women. And I'm not mad at that. I'm just bringing facts. But what I learned in the skilled trade sector, they're only showing up about 9 to 10%. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, in your opinion, have you ever seen women in the trade industry where you work? While I was working overseas, I saw women working in the trade industry, mainly HVAC, believe it or not. But here in the United States, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but in my short lifetime, I've never seen it. I might have seen like a woman painter or something like that. But why do you think women aren't in the trade industry? And I know facts, my mother and grandmother time, women were forbidden to get in the trade industry due to the stereotypical roles. So I encourage women, get into the trade industry as well, because if you know how to do your job, I don't think it's going to be any differentiating too much from a man's pay and a woman pay, unless the man you work for or the woman you work for is doing that to you. If you got the skill, you could charge whatever you want, and skill pays bills.
Yes, my class that I actually had a female in it.
Okay. Out of about how many people do you remember?
We started with like, I want to say like 12 or 13 people. She was one, and she was the one that graduated with us. There's only like 9 of us that graduated because 3 of them dropped out. So yeah, 3 or 4, whatever. I said 13 years, so 4 of them dropped out. They failed. But she was actually, and I will say this, just like I told my wife, I was like, this is the day of women. There ain't no excuse for no women now. Okay, you guys are being pushed like never before. You can't sit there and say you're being discriminated against, whatever the case may be, whatever the vernacular is, without even putting forth the effort. Because right now, the company I work for, they push women out. You know, we had one there, and then once they started putting her in commercials and things of that nature, and that representation out there.
Wow,
there
it
started
got
being more females coming to those classes, so they let them know. So it may still be in a certain markets where you'll see female tradesmen, but the ball is rolling, with that. Now, what remains to be seen is the longevity of it, because and the reason why I say that, because I know there were times some will be pregnant, things of that nature, and now you're limited because they're not about to send no pregnant woman out there trying to change the condensed fan motor. That ain't happening. So there's other things that they can do. So that like I said, that remains to be seen what they're going to do, and let that experience maybe be able to transit into something else where you can be in a leadership position, with supervisor and things of that nature and stuff like that. So
well, thanks. Well, thanks for sharing that with me, man, because that's all I want. I want to have open discussions about things, because honestly, again, through my research, that just shocked me, man, that women are 50% of the workforce, but in the skilled trades, they're only represented by like 9–10%. And looking at the ratio, it said a woman would make 95.7% of what a man makes. So if I was a female, I would really look at the trade industry.
And listen, and here's the thing too, for whoever was looking at that, who was maybe a female, the young lady that I was working with, in her first year, she was $1 million tech.
What? Wow.
Her first year, she was $1 million tech. So, I was a little biased because I was like, women salesmen they can get, they can sell some stuff. So, that'll be something to take advantage. She was really making some money. And I know she wasn't really in the best living conditions when she first started, but she turned her whole life around, getting to trades, and that's really what it's about. She was getting paid for her skill, So I definitely would, if you could stomach, being hot or being in uncomfortable situations in there, and just know it's only temporary. It ain't going to be forever. There may be, just like anything else, there's going to be some days if you can look past that and look at the bigger picture of it, man, it'll change your life.
Gotcha. Well, man, Nate, I appreciate you coming on, man. Chat with experiences, and the only thing I like to talk about is opportunities. And when you ain't seen somebody in 20 years and you see that you're traveling the same path, you got a lot of talking about the trade industry. Plumber over here, and Nate's in HVAC. Now, Nate, we've experienced some record temperatures in the United States, and I got to thinking, global warming. I'm not saying that, hey, that's what it is, but the earth cycles, whatever. God warned that, burn the earth with fire. Who knows? But all I know is where you sitting, I can predict that you're gonna be making some decent money, because people can't afford to be hot. So even with that, if we know the earth is getting hotter, HVAC technician, would you say y'all could be the leader of the trade industry as far as the money? Because if this earth was to get so hot, I mean, we're going to try to do everything we can to stay cold.
Listen, let me put y'all on game here. So we see what the earth's temperature has been, right? These HVAC units are not
engineered, exactly, not engineered for this high heat,
designed for these hot temperatures. So they're running longer and they're breaking down quicker. Okay. So as a consumer, that's scary. But for me, it may sound bad, but it's the truth. Okay.
It's facts.
Sorry.
Facts.
It's the truth. For me, it's like, I ain't got nothing to worry. I'm not worried about what's going on right now, because I look at it, I was joking with my wife about it, because I don't know if you ever, watched this movie. It was called World War Z, right?
With Brad, I seen a couple versions of them. Yeah.
And Brad Pitt was so essential, right, that he and his family was able to go onto this ship where they were secluded from all the zombies and stuff like that. And if he didn't use his services, they was like, you wasting our time. You can't be on this ship if you're not, if we can't use your skill set. And that's how I was describing myself, my wife, and I was like, if it ever came down to it, we're going to be on that ship, because they're going to need some people to learn how to engineer some HVAC, how to maintain and things of that nature. And also putting on game, you said something about government contracting, just being on the other side of the field. So with my job, me being an HVAC mechanic, we're allotted a certain amount of hours to fix something. Okay. If when we go like right recently, I was quoted a motor for this air handler, big old motor, right? So if that motor, the time to fix that unit seemed like it's going to go over the allotted time they give me to do it, they are going to contract it out to a contractor. So that means they're going to get to an HVAC, company, find it. They're going to get quotes, see who is going to be the best one to do it. So what that, for people like that, getting into government contracting, you can charge the government. Okay. I'll be seeing some
I've seen it from the contracts I've worked.
Yeah, I never forget when I first got over there and they had a contract out replacing the LED lights for the Christmas lights they put on base. Somebody got paid $5,000 to do that. To change out the light, not change the fixtures, to change out the LED. Like you think about your Christmas light you put up every year if you do that sort of thing. And what happens when one goes out, you replace it, that's all they did. Take it out and put it in. Somebody got paid $5,000 to do that from the government.
Exactly, man. And it didn't. And again, they just imagine if a student was struggling with their student loans, they $50,000 in debt. We're talking about HVAC. We know the earth is getting hotter.
Yeah.
If a person who's struggling with a college degree and you graduated and you're having a hard time, some people aren't having a hard time, but if you are, come to the trades. You will get paid. You can pay off them student loans. And guess what? You might have your own business and you'll definitely have something that you can keep with, and roll with throughout life.
Yeah, it's definitely it's getting to the point, even in the HVAC world right now, because I don't know if you ever knew anything about with refrigerant and everything. Right now, the current refrigerant that they have, they're starting to phase out like they did the one before for R22. So what does that mean? There was a big old snafu with people who had R22 units. They'll be thinking like, oh, if it's the coil, let's get the coil replaced, and then we can keep it going. It's like, no, you can't do that now because that refrigerant is being phased out. Now it's officially phased out. What that means is they're not making it no more. So R22 is like liquid gold out there, but they just started the process. I don't know who these HVAC gatekeepers are, but they just started the process of phasing out what's current, the R410A right now, and then they're going to start transitioning to this new refrigerant. That's what they say is supposed to be slightly flammable. I still don't know what that means, but all that letting me know is anybody's just not going to be able to work on that thing. So what that means, another certification. And when they get that another certification, guess what's going to happen? That price going up, because everybody, you ain't gonna be able, anybody just not gonna be able to get to it. Anybody's not gonna be able to work on it, And so what that means, unfortunately, for the consumer, now once this current refrigerant starts getting phased out, now you're gonna have to upgrade your HVAC unit to the new refrigerant, the newer high energy unit.
Yeah, and it's all about something. But at the end of the day, it's all about this. Even going green. I'm not a scientist or anything, but even going green. Guess what? You're not just gonna go green by sitting in a desk, or the person that designed and make the laws. The people that work in the field are gonna be hands-on to know that. So even if we want to go green, we're gonna need the HVAC, the plumbers, the electricians, all of us to engineer the new way of doing things. And I love something you said, you put me on game with the HVAC unit itself. I believe it. These record highs that we're experiencing, some temperatures, I know they probably weren't engineered to withstand as hard as they're running right now. Like you said, the future is looking bright for trades, and that's my point. That's my point of the whole podcast, is start telling people the trades is the future. And if we want to continue to live here on earth, it's going to take the trade people. And this is my philosophy. I don't like politics, but we know what the theme is with the current people in charge. Build back a better America. Here's my quote. we're not going to build back a better America with just degrees alone. We are going to have to get back and include people in the trade industry, which has always been the backbone of any civilization, is the trades. If you want to build something, a new bridge, a new highway, new infrastructure, it comes from the trades, not just degrees alone, but trade industry, no matter where you go in this world, is the backbone.
Oh yeah, with people, the real estate market has been booming, with the education and people things of that nature for the last, couple years.
Yeah.
And when I see that, all I see is trades, because somebody got to do that plumbing, that old house. Yeah. It needs to be new plumbing. You can't do it. You got new regulations and things of that nature. That HVAC unit's been on the brink. Now you need a new one, because ain't nobody about to buy no new, with new walls and some old appliances and things of that nature. So you're gonna have to get all that stuff updated and everything like that. Now you got to find somebody who is competent, who's going to do it in your time frame and everything like that. So that's where the real demand is. Real estate's cool and things that to get into, but how cool is that when you're really the most reliable tradesman in your area that all those investors are calling. Think about that.
and I seen this with my dad, man. Like what you're talking about, when you're really good in a trade, people are willing to wait for you. My dad will. Yeah. I've seen him, or any businessman say, "Hey, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm so busy, I can't get to you to 3 weeks." That's fine. We'll wait. And I was shocked to see that, because people need this work done.
I think it's so important for people to see that also, because, like I said, I didn't grow up with a family like that, but when I was working with my company, the company I was working for, I seen that same scenario happen, not to that effect, but what they did was they went a cheaper route, right? The year before, they went with a company that was cheaper, right?
And they called them back.
Listen, they did them dirty. What they did was they thought they had a brand new unit. It was underneath the house, the air handler. The air handler was the same, but they just changed out the outside unit. So it appeared everything was new. And what they did was they just put a full charge inside, but the unit was still leaking. So next summer, they can't even get up with them. They paid $10,000 for this now. And now they called our company. Now they got to pay an additional 15 to get it fixed. So now you're down $25,000 because you went the cheaper route, the less reliable person, the 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐞 person, and you end up having to coming back to the reliable person. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. That's one thing it is not really advisable to go, the most affordable or cheap route when dealing with this type of stuff, because there's a quote out there, sometimes you do get what you paid for, unfortunately. Yep. Sometimes it works out, if you want to roll it down.
Sometimes it don't.
Yeah, sometimes it roll out, but you're right. Sometimes it don't. And think about that don't part. Now you're going to be down even more money, because you're not going to get your money back. Okay, you could try to go that route all you want to, but now you got to pay an additional fee, and a lot of times by going a cheaper route could make your situation a whole lot worse too.
Exactly.
People don't think about that type of stuff.
And this is the good thing. What I like what we're talking about. Again, I've had time now to reflect over my little life, what little bit speckle that I represent in life. But honestly, working with my dad, and maybe you might agree or disagree, when you work in a trades, you're learning a lot more than just trades. I mean, my critical thinking skills is fine-tuned sharp. My business mind is sharp, because I've seen if we're buying a certain material every week from Lowe's, and then Lowe's go up. One story that I can share I saw what the fittings were in plumbing, the little fittings, 45, 90 degrees, PEX. I was looking at it with my dad, and I said, man, Lowe's really went up. So we went online and ordered it wholesale, and you could get a cheaper price because we're buying it now in quantity. So for everybody that's watching this podcast, the trade industry teaches you more than just the trade. You're learning business skills. And because I work with my dad, I got it hands-on experience about if I'm a business owner, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm selling hot dogs and company A is ripping me off, there's always a company B, there's a company C.
Yeah.
And if there's not an A, B, or C company, then guess what? Make your own company, fix that problem, and then you're selling hot dogs to other people. So that's what I love about the trade industry. I can't let a job beat me. And that's what my dad always told me. Never let a job beat you. So if I need to fix something, I'm going to do everything that I can until I learn how to fix it. So people, the trade industry is a good field. I'm African-American, Nate's African-American, and we're in a field that is paying bills to keep it factually based. I'm in a field where once you learn a trade and you get good at it, you could go worldwide with it. If you know a trade, you can go worldwide.
And to piggyback off that, I have a lot of friends who do have degrees and more quote unquote educated than me, and I'm making more than them. Go figure that without the student loan.
Exactly. well, man, I know we talked it up and we chopped it up so long, man. I just want to end on a video, and then I'm gonna ask you one last question. So I'm gonna share my screen here.
All right.
And it's gonna sum up everything that what we were talking about. You can see this video here on your screen.
No, I've never seen it before.
If you're not getting ahead, you need to do something to allow yourself to get ahead. For example, if you want a good job, if you want a secure future, you have to have something to offer a prospective employer. Now, I'm not saying you need a PhD or a master's degree, but you do have to have something to offer. There's going to be a time in this country that people that know how to work with their hands, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, cement layers, machine operators, mechanics, people that know how to work with their hands are going to be in great demand. Yes, it's true. You have to have education and training to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. But I'll tell you the truth. I spent 60 years working. I was successful.
So Nate, I got one last question to ask you, man. What would you say to a high school student right now? What would you say to a person that's in college? They're not feeling college, but hey, their family's putting pressure on them. They'll feel like a failure if they quit. And what would you say to an adult or anybody that's doing something they don't want to do? And maybe they're not looking so much as passion. They're just looking for a way to make a decent income. I'm just curious, and I'm being sarcastic. Now, we know what the advice we would give them, but what should a person do right now, in your opinion? My opinion is go into the trades.
Honestly, before I would talk about even getting into trades, I would want to see where their mentality is. Because now, as we're giving basically cliff notes in this trade, okay? You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to spend. Now, when I was learning, there was something my teacher had taught me. I was in class during March Madness, okay? This is a couple years ago. So this is when my team, North Carolina Tar Heels, in the tournament. So I'm trying to watch them and everything like that. And what was so funny is just like anybody else, I used to be in band, all right? And I'll never forget when my band teacher taught me, she was saying, I know when you practice and when you're not practicing because of your performance, all right? So it was the same thing. Teacher knew if we were studying or not, because when we come in, whether we do it or not, you're going to have to put the education, the time in to learn extra stuff, even though you're learning on the job and everything like that, you need to go home and start doing some research and things of that nature. If you're dealing with HVAC and you get into capacitors and things of that nature, see, how a capacitor works, how things, do what they do, because that's what's going to make your job a whole lot easier. So I would actually see about where their mentality is, what they want to do and things of that nature, see what, where they see themselves in 5 to 10 years, because a lot of times people just living for today, which is, if you can do what you want, but at the same time, what you gonna do when tomorrow comes?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So you really got to get into, see what their mentality is, and it seems like they got the right mentality. I would actually introduce them to, certain things, see what, what your interest may be, HVAC, plumbing, things of that nature, even with electrical, because I even thought about this. I saw a job over in Indiana. They do the same process like how I went through. They will pay you to be an apprentice, electrician apprentice. And I think with them, they wanted you in there for 2 years. So you're thinking about the 2 years you're learning, in that 2-year period, you're not paying somebody to teach you. Somebody's paying you to learn. Yep. You see what I'm saying? So you think about taking 2 years out of your life that can give you a lifetime of unlimited, resources.
Earning potential too. Earning potential.
Earning potential is unlimited according to, what you see fit. You know what I'm saying? So, that'll be something I would talk to, especially with, older adults who got families and things of that nature. I'll be like, if you got kids, and then one thing I always preach to my wife about, because, right now, currently my mother takes care of my grandmother. She's been taking care of her for the last 10 years. Only reason why she's able to do that is because she's in a position to be able to do that. I done seen so many people who not in position to take care of their parents and things of that nature. So that's another motivation for me. I wanted, when I was telling my wife, I was like, our parents in our 60s, 10 years from now, they're going to be in their 70s. What kind of condition they're going to be in. You see what I'm saying? We need to start building ourselves, setting ourselves up to be able to have the resources in place, whether we're going to have an in-home nurse or anything like that. My goal is not to put them in retirement. That's just my personal goal. Guess what? We need to have the resources and the space and the things of that nature, to be able to have that sort of thing. So that's, that's my motivation. You got to see what people's motivation, because that's what's going to drive you. That's what's going to get you up. That's going to have, put you in those late nights, and, people calling you up, want to go out to the club or do a trip. Like, nah, man, I got to do this right here. That's what's going to separate you from everyone else. When you put in the time, trust me, that earning potential is going to come. It's going to come, so that would be my advice.
Okay. Well, man, this completes the first episode, number 1, 𝐾𝐨𝐬'𝐬's experiences. And again, my goal is just to talk about the trade industry. And I'll end with one more question, man. When we was coming along, Instagram didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist. I really think, man, do you think if the more we talk about the trade industry and the more people show videos, I'm gonna start showing videos of me working plumbing. You sent me some videos on HVAC, because it's like people believe what they see. And like you're saying, the trade industry, I can't remember it at all when I was young, except my dad put it in front of my face and I knew it existed. So what would you say with trades and just sharing stories, and what has the trade industry been for you? For me, it's taking care of my whole family. My brothers and sisters, we all went to college. My dad bought us a car in high school, but with the plumbing business, it allowed him to make so much money, man. We didn't lack anything, It really took care of us. I feel like a trade, as long as you're healthy, trade does require some physical work. A man or a single mother could take care of her family, even if she got a grandmother living with her. The trade industry does allow you to balance and schedule things according to the work. You can plan the work, and then you can work the plan with the trades.
Yeah, most definitely. What trade really did for me was made financial freedom attainable. And what I mean by that was just like the whole mentality thing. I never imagined myself. I remember when I first started making 50,000, I was like, I never would have thought I would ever reach that plateau, right? And it was so funny to me, because I remember, I don't know if you ever did, just telling on myself when, I forgot the date and stuff. eHarmony, remember eHarmony?
Yeah, the date app, yeah.
I went to eHarmony like in my mid-20s, right? Just trying to do something different. And I never forget this girl that I was talking to. We were getting to know each other and stuff like that. And I was like, what is your ideal of having to make, how much you think he should be making? And she told me flat out, he need to be making 40, 50,000. I was sitting there like, good gracious, I think at the time I don't know how much it is a year, but I think I was like making like $12 an hour, right? And I thought I was making money then, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, dang, that's like what, 25, $30 an hour. I was like, I ain't gonna never get that type of money, because it's like you gotta be, some boss. That was in my head and everything like that. But I didn't know there were certain skills that you can have to be able to attain that type of money, and then, just like anything else, once you reach a certain plateau, you don't move backwards. You move forward.
Exactly.
You
yeah.
the revenue. You see what I'm saying? So, and now to be, with my household to be making over 6 figures, it's just like, I kind of that's a blessing, because even though there is all this stuff that's going on, me and my family, I can say for our household, we don't feel it, and that's a blessing. And that's where I want to be at, and that's why even teaming up with you, I want others to be like that also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people don't have direction. They thinking, oh, we need to get into real estate, but the credit jacked up. Oh, you need to go to college and everything like that. But as soon as you do that, you got a job. College,
and you're in debt.
And you're in debt. And then nine times out of 10, you're not even working in the field you're working in. You get a degree in. Because just let you know, my wife is like that right now. She got a full-blown degree. She ain't even doing what she's doing, with the degree. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of things, what she's doing, she didn't even need her degree.
Yeah, and Nate, this reminds me of something we talked about earlier too. Maybe that's the reason why so many migrate or transition to college. I traveled all around the world, and it's no secret in America, you're taught, hey, 18, you getting the boot, you getting out your house. I'm blessed that my parents didn't do that, but they did say you got to do something positive. So I did. I took a year off of high school. I hated school. I didn't do anything but just work. And then I went to the community college, eventually went to university, and yet I still find myself working in a trade. So I think that's an area too. If you're a young person and you see this, or if you're a parent, don't force your kids out the house, maybe put them in a trade and say, I'm going to make sure you get a skill. In the trade, you can chill. There's nothing achievable in trades, in my opinion, except to make more money. The longer you stay, the more money you make. But in college, there is pressure. There's the timeline. You need to, every year they put the curriculum, you need X amount of credits, you need this to graduate. And then if you change your major, it's going to cost you more money. So if you are unsure and you're a parent and student watching this, buy a little time with the trade industry. There's no penalty if you walk away from a trade, but there is a penalty if you walk away from college and you didn't start what you finished. But I just thought about that. The trade industry, you could get a lifetime skill whether you use it or not.
Yeah.
You can buy a little time. And in the trade industry, you can make a little decent bit of money. So if you had a family struggle, you want to live on your own, get in the trade industry. And again, there's no penalty to want to learn a trade, or if you're just doing it to get by, but you're going to get a lifetime earning skill for sure in the trade industry.
Yeah, man. I want to say before we get out here, I salute to you for this vision, man. This is definitely a conversation people need to have. And, just like you were saying about the social media thing, people need to see, especially with us being African Americans, how you can succeed into this thing. And even, I don't know about you, but I never even thought about I could be a person that could run a business, let alone, do that sort of thing. But being in a trade, it actually got our mentally, ready to go into that sector. And if it happened, it ain't nothing special about me, ain't nothing special about you. If it happened for us, it can happen for you too. Just got to put in the work.
Yep.
And what better, I look at it like, most things, I don't know if you ever experienced something where you put in the work and you never see the results. You're going to get the results.
In trades, yeah. It'd be some tough days, but again, I'm so happy that my dad introduced me to plumbing, and believe it or not, he never forced me to do it. I did, like most kids, I wanted to play. I didn't want to do it, but what I found out, Nate, the longer I kept staying, and I saw how easy the money was, because once you know what you're doing, you could go to a job and let's say in 20 minutes you fix a water leak, or in your case, you reconnect a duct product to the unit. You made $250. You was only on a job site for 20 minutes. If I'm working a regular 9 to 5 to make $250 and I'm getting paid by the hour, guess how many? I might have had to work 4 days of 8-hour shifts to make that 250, or 3 days to make that 250. In the trades, you will get paid, and it's two sides to look at the trade. Sometimes if you're working for somebody else, then guess what? You're getting paid by the hour, or if you work with a cool boss, like you're saying, they may give you a bonus or a percentage for every job you complete. But when you own your own business and trades, you're not making your money by the hour. You are making it by the job.
That's
right.
How
you should look at it.
And that's a very good point, because right then, just like one thing I love about appliance repair, when you know what you're doing, just imagine, like, I charge $85 for the service calls. So even if they don't go for the repair, and I do 4 in a day, that's over $300 right there.
Yeah, and if you're married, that's a car payment. What else can $300 get? If you got 3 kids, those are school clothes paid all in one day.
and here's the thing about the day, I could be done by 1 o'clock. You see what I'm saying?
And
so now
family time.
I can go, because that's what my goal is. Where I'm going is, like, I want to be able to pick up when my daughter's 3 years old. I want to go and be able to pick up my daughter from school. I told my wife, I was like, get ready, because I'm gonna be, I don't know if you ever experienced this at school, I'm gonna be that parent when a new movie comes out. Oh, we gonna see it at the matinee. I'm gonna pick you up at school, and I'm gonna let every my little kids know, and they gonna be jealous. I want to be that parent. I don't want to be that parent. Oh, I can't make it, because I got to do a double shift. I don't want to be that parent. I can't go with you to the game or see your game because I'm working. I don't want to be that parent. I want to, and that's what learning this trade and getting business for yourself, what it can do, because I could work a full day and be done by 1 o'clock, and then making that time of money. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's just one day. So imagine you doing 4 jobs 5 days a week. Come on now.
Exactly.
This is something they don't teach you. They ain't teach you,
and they don't want you to.
I didn't go to college. I don't know if they showing you that in college. You can tell me that. Are they showing you that in college?
No, and again, I like to salute Robert Kiyosaki. I read a lot of books, and there was an interesting statement he said. He said, if you look at most colleges, the professor that teach business don't even own a business, but they're teaching it from a textbook. He also has another book called Fake Money, Fake Teachers, and Fake Assets. And that's true.
Wow.
So it's all a game, and I'm tired of playing it. So I'm happy that my dad put a business in front of me, and just learning and working with him on those jobs, it's probably led me where I'm at right today with Ch@With Experiences, where I'm speaking out about trades in college, and I'm not knocking either one. If you want to go to college, cool. If you want to learn a trade, cool. But I'm just here to share my experiences and let people know that the trade industry is the way to go.
There you go, man.
All right. So Nate, what's the name of your business, and how could people get up contact with you? It's called, what's the name of your business?
The business is Kinard Appliance Repair.
Okay.
Out of Savannah, Georgia. You can have a website, KinardApplianceRepair.com, and you can go up there, and that's where you can, never have any issues or anything like that. You can go into the website up there, or you can call my phone number, 912-202-4759. And if I don't answer, because sometimes I do be working, there's an automatic message there where you can send me a text message and everything like that. And, we'll get to, that way also. So yeah, just going up from here, man.
Oh yeah. Well, Nate, I really do appreciate this, man. And again, I just want people to know that the future is bright. I know some days it look dark, and maybe it is, but while we're here, I try to make a difference. And again, I just really want people to know, some people are going to college and getting a lifetime worth of debt and bills. But if you quit overlooking the trade industry, a person could almost walk away with a lifetime earning skill. This will complete Ch@With Experiences.